Welcome to Tambour Beading. These videos are going to be tips to master the technique by Robert Haven of the Bead Embroidery and Design Studio located in Lexington, Kentucky. The most important thing about the technique is to understand, first of all, the hooks. And we're going to see here that we have three different sized hooks. For an example, a 70, an 80, and a 120. And you can really see the shape of the 120 of what the hook really looks like. It's important when you load the hook into your handle that that hook part on the side of the needle is perfectly aligned with the set screw. It is crucial so that you always know where the front of the hook is located. Now, in this technique, as you probably already know, the vast majority of the work happens underneath the frame. The work of the left hand is where all the beads and sequins are located, and consequently it's very hard to see what it is you're doing, and it's very hard to photograph it because you have to photograph it through the fabric, and that tends to blur the definition of the video. So to try to explain how I wrap the thread around the hook with each stitch, I'm going to do it without the use of the fabric and simply just in front of the camera so that you can see what my fingers are doing to make it work. And even better than that, we're going to start with a giant size version of a hook with just a large crochet hook and cotton pearl so that you can completely see what is happening underneath that frame. So let's look at doing this, wrapping the thread around the hook with a giant size scale. You can see my index finger is holding the thread against the hook. My thumb is wrapping it around the hook, and I just pivot my wrist to do that. Then I turn the hook and the thread slides down onto the hook. That is essentially what's happening underneath. Now let's see it in real scale. I'm using regular sewing thread and a number 80 hook. So this would have been, the hook would have been plunged through the fabric, and I will hold my finger against the needle to hold the thread in place, wrap it with my thumb, turn the hook, and then slide the thread down, not straight down, but on an angle, so that it snaps into the hook. Now let's look at this in a little bit slower motion so you can get more detail. After the needle is pushed into the fabric, the first step is to wrap the thread. I hold my finger there, and that's important because when you have beads and sequins, you have to use that finger to hold them in place. My thumb pushes the thread around, and my wrist is just pivoting, and I can turn the needle in the same direction, slide the thread down slightly till it snaps into place, and then continue with the rest of the stitch. For more information about classes and workshops in tambour beading, both in Kentucky and perhaps in your neighborhood, search the internet for the Bead Embroidery and Design Studio. The next posting will be dedicated to the starting stitch, something that everyone struggles with.